23 years ago to the day, Walking with Dinosaurs special, the Ballad of Big Al, released. And today, in my 2023 Christmas special, I will be breaking this episode down. This episode, which is known simply as Allosaurus in the USA, is quite similar to Time of the Titans, the second episode of Walk with Dinosaurs, featuring mostly the same creatures and being set in the same formation, the Morrison Formation, but 7 million years later. In fact, the look of the Morrison Formation is much more accurate in this one, being more of a dry desert environment rather than a network of plains and forests. Al is the first named character in the Walking With series. Big Al was actually a member of the recently discovered species Allosaurus jimadseni, but as this was discovered only recently in the episode, he is depicted as being the younger type species Allosaurus fragilis. Allosaurus lived 155 to 152 million years ago, not 145, ironically meaning Al could have appeared in Time of the Titans. There are two other Allosaurus jimadseni specimens named after Big Al 2 and Little Al, with Little Al being a juvenile Allosaurus. Al is depicted as being around 9 meters long, when the specimen is actually 7.5 meters long. I don't know how they made that mistake, since the footage for the opening actually includes footage of the real skeleton, so you'd think they could have just measured it. Due to Allosaurus not being sexually dimorphic, which we know due to very many specimens of Allosaurus being known, its biological sex cannot be known, so there is no evidence for Al being a male. Allosaurus was redesigned for this special to be more accurate, but its head is still slightly off-looking. No Allosaurus specimens are as big as the 10-meter-long female. It is possible that this female is supposed to represent Allosaurus maximus, which is either a massive species of Allosaurus, or more likely its own genus, Saurophaganax. The Allosaurus is still shrink-wrapped, if less so, but it does have unpronated wrists. There is an instance of infanticide in this episode, which is also cannibalism, like in New Blood, where the adolescent Allosaurus eats a baby. The unnamed pterosaur in the scene may be Mesodactylus or a Neognathus, as it uses the model from Time of the Titans. If so, the inaccuracies from then continue to carry over. If it's a Neognathus, then that was known for Germany, not the USA. And it also looks much more like a modified Patinosaurus than an actual Neognathus, which again looked quite bat-like. If it is Mesodactylus, then it did live in the right time and place to appear in this episode. These predator trap scenes are based on an outdated interpretation of the Cleveland Lloyd quarry, a quarry which has very many Allosaurus specimens, but not many herbivores. The original interpretation was that it was a predator trap, luring in the Allosaurus due to the corpses of trapped herbivores, which the Allosaurus would then in turn trap themselves. This is not believed to be true, as the most modern interpretation is that it was a waterhole in a drought which dried up over time, and as it dried up, the Allosaurus kept converging there for the last water, and the herbivores stayed away, causing there to only be Allosaurus, and they had to cannibalize or starve, which is why there are mainly large specimens known from that quarry. The model from Time of the Titans is reused, meaning that the same inaccuracies from that episode continues. The fact that it is based on Brachiosaurus bronchi, now Giraffe Titan bronchi, and though Giraffe Titan bronchi and Brachiosaurus ultithorax, the only current species of Brachiosaurus, are quite closely related, they differ quite significantly, especially in the skull shape. The head bump is shown as a thin structure, like a crest, which was a common depiction in the 90s, as a similar, but not the same, kind of structure appeared in Jurassic Park, also in the 90s. It is now believed to have been covered in a large soft tissue structure, giving the head a much more rounded shape. The legs and torso should be thicker, and it should have a much shorter tail. There is a scene where the Brachiosaurus is in the water, which is most likely a reference to the outdated depiction of sauropods as aquatic or semi-aquatic. Brachiosaurus was also extinct around 5 million years before the episode's setting. The Stegosaurus is also reused from Time of the Titans, and again has the same inaccuracies, such as it being depicted as having very long back legs, which, although it did have long back legs in reality, were definitely not as long compared to the other front legs as it is shown in this episode. Stegosaurus also lived at the right time and place to appear in this special. Due to Diplodocus only appearing in the Battle of the Salt Plains scene, Apatosaurus, which uses a modified Diplodocus model, takes its place. The main change between the models is that Apatosaurus doesn't have spikes on its back. Though they were quite closely related, Apatosaurus and Apatosaurine has quite a few differences to Diplodocus, a diplodocene. Apatosaurus should have a much longer and flatter head, should be much more slender in the body and tail, should not have the strange hump at the shoulders, and should have a much longer neck with a comparatively smaller head on the end. Apatosaurus is only known from 152 to 100 million years ago, meaning it was already extinct by the time this episode was set, but lived at the right time to appear in Time of the Titans. Dinosaurs originally made a cameo in Time of the Titans in the forests. It reuses a recolored version of the model used for Leelinosaura, Orthnelia, and Thistalosaurus. It lived at the right place, and time to appear in this episode. Ornitholestes also returns from its appearance in Time of the Titans, and once again it uses the same model, meaning it still has the same inaccurate nasal crest, which was based on the original fossil skull being broken in a way that appeared to be a crest. It still doesn't have sickle claws, and it still doesn't have full feather coating. At least it has quills, and it should also not have pronated hands. It also lived and went extinct 9 million years before this episode's setting, meaning it would have been long extinct, and possibly even extinct before the setting of Time of the Titans. Dragonflies first evolved in the Sine-Murian stage of the early Jurassic, and would therefore have been around by the Dithonian when this was set. There are no dragonfly fossils known from the Morrison Formation, but this certainly does not mean that there were none there, just that there are none that were fossilized. Axolotls appear, despite the fact that axolotls only evolved very recently, approximately 10,000 years ago, and only occur in caves in Mexico, not swamps in Wyoming. It is possible that these are just young salamanders of a different genus, which is possible because the suborder that axolotls belong to, the advanced salamanders, date back to 157 million years ago. There is a salamander known from the Morrison Formation, Iridotriton, but it is a primitive salamander, or cryptobranchoid, not an advanced salamander, or salamandroid. It was also extinct by the time of the episode's setting. Scorpions date back to the Silurian period, as shown in Walking with Monsters, but there are no scorpion fossils known from the Morrison Formation. It's hard to tell, but Othnalia may have made a minor appearance in Time of the Titans alongside the Dinosaurs, due to the fact that their models look almost identical. The genus name Othnalia is now invalid, being known as Nanosaurus now. The Othnalia, or Nanosaurus, is shown with the exact same model as Dinosaurus, just recolored, meaning it is shown as the same size as Dinosaurus, when, in reality, Dinosaurus was approximately 3 meters long, Nanosaurus was approximately 2 to 2.8 meters long. Both Nanosaurus and Dinosaurus should probably be feathered. Nanosaurus went extinct approximately 3 million years before the episode's setting. This little lizard, which appears briefly before being eaten by Al, is Paramacilodus, a syncomorph or skinkomorph from the late Jurassic of North America. It lived at the right place and time to appear in this episode, but it is live-acted by a Chinese water dragon, and a garment lizard distantly related to the basal syncomorph Paramacilodus. Paramacilodus would have been related much more similar to its relatives, the modern skinks, and not look like the very derived lizard, the Chinese water dragon. Diplodocus appears in the special in the iconic Battle of the Salt Plains scene. It reuses its model from Time of the Titans, which does have a few inaccuracies, similar to the Apatosaurus. It should have much less of a hump on its back, as well as a much longer, thinner neck, and it is most likely that it would only have had large spikes on its back and not on its neck, and almost definitely not on its tail. Its head is mostly the right shape, but the crest-like structure should not extend down the whole head, but should instead be just above the eyes. Other than that, it's quite accurate, but it was extinct at the time the episode was set, although it was alive at the setting of Time of the Titans. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you want to, go down and subscribe. If I missed anything, leave a suggestion in the comments. Merry Christmas, and I will see you for the next one. Goodbye.